Good afternoon. My name is Alena Shautsova. I am an immigration attorney from Brooklyn, New York. In today's Legally Speaking seminar, I would like to talk to you about forms for affidavit of support, various forms, and what the difference between the forms I864, I864A, and I864EZ. I have to tell you that this video provides just general information, and you should always consult with an attorney or at the minimum read instructions to these forms when you're filling them out and submitting them, because nowadays public charge situation and affidavit of support gets extra attention from the government, and you do not want to make a mistake. All right, so you're probably aware that when you're sponsoring a person into the United States, unless they are specifically excluded from public charge grounds of inadmissibility, the person will have to provide an affidavit of support form I864. Form I864 is actually a contract between the person who is going to be an immigrant, a person who is signing it as a petitioner, for example, and the government of the United States. This form is enforceable in any state or federal court in the United States. That's very important to know. It means, for example, that if there is a wife and a husband sponsors wife and submits form I864, and later the couple divorces, guess what? He's still liable to provide support to her under the form I864, and she can go to any state or federal court and enforce that promise, that contract. It's very important to know that. All right, so form I864 will be used by petitioner, always by the petitioner. Petitioner always submits this form. And what to do if his or her income is not enough? Then a joint sponsor usually comes into play, right? Guess what? A joint sponsor most likely will also be filing form I864. And actually on the form there is a check box. I am only the joint sponsor. So this form is used by both the petitioner and by the joint sponsor. So why do we need I864A then? Well, I864A can be used if a joint sponsor is the member of the same household as the petitioner, meaning that these two people, excuse me, are filing taxes together and reside in the same household. When this situation may occur, for example, a parent is sponsoring a child who is overseas, and now a parent can use his or her income together with a spouse's income if they reside together to qualify to meet those minimum threshold income poverty guidelines. Okay, so that's when I864A will be used. I864, I864A. So not all joint sponsors are going to be using I864A, just special joint sponsors, those who are residing with the petitioner in the same household. And there is one more form, I864EZ. Well, it's easy, right? So why it's easy is because if the case is fairly simple, then you can use easy form. This form can be used when the petitioner is sponsoring one person. The petitioner filed I-130 for the person, and the only income that the petitioner is going to be using is petitioner's salary that can be seen in his or her tax returns. And this is the only time when form I864EZ will be used. It cannot be used by the joint sponsor. It cannot be used if a person is sponsoring more than one person. And it cannot be used if, for example, there is I-140 form instead of I-130 form that's been filed. So this is the difference between these three forms. Now let's talk a little bit about the form I864 itself. I personally found a couple of issues with that form when you fill it out. Specifically, when you try to count how many members of the household you have, the form is designed the way that it's always going to produce like a mistake. Almost always there is one more, but then there is a small disclaimer on the top, says do not count anybody twice. For example, if your spouse is residing with you and you are married, somehow the form comes up with the number 3 as number of the people in your household. It's incorrect, because if there are only 2 of you, your household size will be 2. It's important because, as you may know, the more people you have in your household, the higher your income has to be. So pay attention when you fill out that form. Another thing is this, in this form, there is a question about being a member of the military. That question relates to petitioners only. If you read the instructions, you will see. Current income. What is it that current income? Well, current income is actually income that you are projected to receive, annual income that you're projected to receive this year. That's what current income is, because it calls for an annual number. It doesn't call for an hourly rate that you may have. So those are 3 little things that you need to know about Form I864. And of course, it's one of the it's simple, but at the same time, it's one of those forms that you really need to know what you're doing with it, because if you make a mistake, and even if you don't make a mistake, you're going to receive an error fee, request for more evidence. Requests for more evidence for income levels are very, very common. They happen all the time. It doesn't matter if you fill out the form correctly or incorrectly. Somehow, almost everybody is going to receive it. So just pay attention to the form and read the instructions if you do it yourself. And again, a joint sponsor would have to submit the same form, I864. Just make sure to check off the boxes correctly, okay? And you can read more information about immigration laws and immigration forms and immigration tips on our website, www.shautsova.com. Thank you.